Hello there, very good evening and welcome to the news tonight here on Rajya Sabha TV, your one stop for the day's top stories from India and across the world. I'm Tracy Shilshi and in the next 30 minutes I'll be getting you all that. But first, the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi takes critics head-on, says the Congress has no right to talk about intolerance after the 1984 anti-Sikh riots. But Congress takes the intolerance issue to the President. Sonia Gandhi meets Pranab Mukherjee with a memorandum. Outrage in India after Nepalese police kill an Indian while evicting protesters near the border. Nepal assures investigation into the incident. India and Indonesia announce MOUs for cooperation on new and renewable energy and cultural exchanges. Vice President Ansari hails reinvigoration of the relationship. And Russian claims the crashed airliner may have disintegrated at 31,000 feet, even as 144 bodies reach St. Petersburg for identification. The campaign blitzkrieg for the fifth and final phase of Bihar Assembly elections is on in full swing. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi hosted a bunch of rallies across the state today. In fact, in his most stinging retort yet, Modi raked up the 1984 anti-Sikh riots and said that the Congress had no right to lecture him on intolerance.
With only one phase remaining for the Bihar elections, campaigning is heating up in the state. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed 3 rallies in Purnia, Katihar and Darbhanga. Modi focused on the attack on the BJP over intolerance. He said the Congress has no right to talk about intolerance after the 1984 anti-Sikh riots.
इंदिरा गांधी जी की हत्या के दूसरा दिन, तीसरा दिन, चौथा दिन दिल्ली में, हिंदुस्तान में सिखों का कत्ले आम चल रहा था, कत्ले आम किया जा रहा था। कांग्रेस पार्टी पर गंभीर आरोप लगे थे, कांग्रेस के नेताओं पर गंभीर आरोप लगे थे और आज उसी 2 नवंबर को कांग्रेस पार्टी टॉलरेंस पर भाषण देने लगी है।
Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi also addressed 3 rallies in Bihar. The rallies were held in Araria, Purnia and Katihar. Rahul took the attack to the BJP and the Prime Minister and reiterated that his alliance would win the polls.
यहाँ पे अब बीजेपी नहीं जीतने वाली, ये बात उनको भी मालूम हो गई है, ये हमें भी मालूम है। बिहार में भाईचारा और प्यार की राजनीति होगी, सबको हम एक साथ ले जाएंगे और पूरा बिहार एक साथ आगे बढ़ेगा।
Other star campaigners were on the campaign trail as well. Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh and Chief Minister Nitish Kumar addressed rallies in the state.
मैं महागठबंधन के नेताओं से अपील करना चाहता हूं, हम ऐसी सरकार नहीं बनाना चाहेंगे, नफरत की चिंगारी पैदा करके हम कोई सरकार नहीं बनाना चाहेंगे बहनों भाइयों, क्योंकि हम लोग राजनीति केवल सरकार बनाने के लिए नहीं करते हैं, हम राजनीति करते हैं तो समाज बनाने के लिए राजनीति करते हैं, देश बनाने के लिए राजनीति करते हैं।
The election in Bihar has reached its final stretch. Polling for just one phase remains in the state's 5-phase elections. Campaigning for the final phase will end at 5 p.m. on Tuesday. 57 constituencies in 9 districts will go to polls on the 5th of November, with a total of 827 candidates in the fray. Counting of votes will be held on the 8th of November. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
But the raging political standoff over rising intolerance reached the president's doorsteps this evening. Congress President Sonia Gandhi met Pranab Mukherjee and raised the issue. The meeting comes on a day both Congress and the BJP traded charges over riots in the past.
Congress President Sonia Gandhi met President Pranab Mukherjee to raise the issue of intolerance across the country. Along with party MPs, she is also expected to march to the Rashtrapati Bhavan on Tuesday. Congress seeks the President to advise the government to act firmly against recent killings and subsequent protests. On Monday, the Congress hit out at Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the issue. In reply to the PM's jibe on 1984 anti-Sikh riots, the party raked up Godhra riots and Modi's failure to bring the culprits to book.
31 साल पहले की त्रासदी का जिक्र करके वो अपने संवैधानिक कर्तव्य से और नैतिक कर्तव्य से मुक्ति नहीं पा सकते. The Prime Minister's statement is politically motivated.
Congress also questioned the Prime Minister for not doing enough to stop such incidents. Referring to the Finance Minister's remark on the protests, the party accused the BJP of insulting those protesting against intolerance. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley had claimed that the Prime Minister himself is a victim of what he calls a manufactured rebellion.
Prime Minister is the endorser of intolerance. Prime Minister, by his silence, studied silence over the statements of his cabinet colleagues, his silence when his party colleagues, the RSS and his senior cabinet colleagues have heaped insults on those who have been protesting or conveying their anguish, cannot definitely be a target.
Earlier, the Prime Minister raised the pitch during a rally in Bihar on Monday. His cabinet colleagues also slammed Congress for raising hue and cry over incidents of intolerance.
Congress talking about intolerance is the joke of the century. The Congress and its friends are intolerant towards the people's mandate. They were silent and thousands of Sikhs were massacred in the 1984 genocide. Their leadership has justified it.
BJP's counter-offensive on politics of intolerance came just hours before Sonia's scheduled meeting with the president. The president has already addressed the issue at least thrice, urging tolerance to maintain pluralistic character of the country. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
In other news, in a pre-dawn swoop, Nepalese police today cracked down on protesters blocking Key Bridge to India. The two sides clashed, resulting in the death of at least one person and left several others injured. The centre then expressed concerns after reports that the person who died was an Indian. While Nepal has assured a full probe, the surprise action helped reopen the main Birganj-Raxaul border trading point for the first time in 40 days.
Protesters staging a sit-in for the last 40 days at the Indo-Nepal border were forcibly removed by Nepal's police early on Monday. They used batons, opened fire to disperse Madhesi protesters, evicting them from the crucial Miteri bridge at the border. The protesters also clashed with the police during the action. One Indian was killed in the firing. India has taken up the matter diplomatically with Nepal.
अस्पताल से कि नेपाली पुलिस ने से गोली मारी है, गोली लग गया।
क्या और क्या अभी? मेरा
भांजा है वो।
भांजा है
जी।
आप लोग को बॉडी मिली अभी?
नहीं मिली अभी। फोन आया था, अभी लेने के लिए जा रहे थे, नहीं जाने दे रहे।
कि हमारी तरफ भी करीब 35 उनको जैसे इंजर्ड है पुलिस वाले, तो घटना का छानबीन के बाद में होगा। कहीं भी देखिए, यानी एक शांतिपूर्ण प्रदर्शन होना, धरना जुलूस होना प्रजातंत्र में स्वाभाविक बात है, लेकिन बिल्कुल जैसे यानी अपने हथियारों से लैस होके, अपने घरेलू हथियारों से लैस होके सुरक्षा निकाय के ऊपर जैसे यानी एग्रेशन करेंगे, तो इसके बाद ये दुर्घटना, ये देखिए अच्छा नहीं है। जो भी हो, इसको हमें बहुत बड़ा खेद है।
सुबह में एक बैग लोग सोए हुए थे 5 बजे के करीब में, पौने 5 बजे। इसके बाद जो है बहुत ज्यादा की तादाद में नेपाली फोर्स यहाँ आया, बंदूक लेके आया, लाठी लेकर के आया। वो सशस्त्र फोर्स था, आकर के शुरू से ही टेंट में जो सोए हुए लोग थे उन लोगों को लात से और लाठी से मारने लगे, मारते हुए भगाने लगे और इस तरह से जो है टेंट तोड़ने लगे।
After removing the protesters, the police opened the Birganj-Raxaul border point. About 200 Indian trucks stranded in Nepal crossed over into India. However, the protests have strangled supplies from India to Nepal.
यहाँ पे मधेसी लोग जो थे पिछले करीब 1-1.5 महीने से बैठे हुए, तो उनको जो है नेपाल साइड से हटाया गया, नेपाल साइड से कार्रवाई की गई है। तो उसके बाद से आज सुबह से गाड़ियाँ आ रही हैं और इधर में तो कोई दिक्कत है नहीं। इधर पुलिस वाले भी और एसएसपी वाले, ये प्रशासन लोग हैं लगे हुए।
फंस गए थे जाम के कारण। आज हम इंडिया में बहुत आके खुशी हुए हैं, जा रहे अपना परिवार से मिलने के लिए। बहुत हमें खुशी हो रहा इस बात सुन के कि आज जो बॉर्डर खुल गया है।
There were reports of sporadic protests in Birganj by the Madhesi groups against the police intervention on Monday. The Madhesis, who have been protesting against Nepal's new constitution, returned to the bridge hours after the police used batons to forcibly remove them. Talks between the Nepal government and the Madhesi group ended inconclusively on Sunday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
India and Indonesia signed Memoranda of Understanding on renewable energy and cultural exchange today. On the second day of his visit to the country, Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari underlined the importance of deepening India-Indonesia relations. The Vice President is on a 4-day visit to Jakarta and Bali. Here's a report.
The Vice President terming the meeting with his Indonesian counterpart, Yusuf Kala, the reinvigoration of the India-Indonesia relationship. As the two countries embark on a phase of rapid economic growth, India and Indonesia held delegation-level talks before announcing MOUs for cooperation on new and renewable energy and cultural exchange, taking forward close collaboration in these areas. In a joint press statement, Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari and his Indonesian counterpart announced positive exchanges of views and potential for vast benefits ahead.
We share similar positions on global and regional issues, including climate change and maritime security and freedom of seas in the South China Sea. India and Indonesia today signed a Memorandum of Understanding on cooperation in new and renewable energy sector, and all of you have been witness to it. This cooperation is important as both India and Indonesia have committed themselves to reduce carbon emission by 35% and 29% respectively.
The Vice President also called on Indonesian President Joko Widodo. He is to meet parliamentary speakers on Tuesday before departing for Bali, seen as the cultural leg of his Indonesia visit. With camera persons Manoj Kumar and Nilesh Pandey, Weber Verma's report for Rajya Sabha TV from Jakarta.
More news. Chota Rajan is likely to be brought to India this week. The Indian team that is in Bali is working out the details of Rajan's deportation. The most wanted gangster was arrested in Bali in Indonesia last week.
Wanted in over 70 cases of murder, extortion and drug trafficking in Mumbai. On the run for 2 decades now. Chota Rajan, once a close aide, now an enemy of Dawood Ibrahim, may soon be brought back to India. An Indian team comprising officers from the CBI and the Mumbai and Delhi police is in Indonesia working out the details of Rajan's deportation.
As far as they are concerned, the extradition treaty is already in force. There is no requirement for exchanging these letters. So therefore, we presume and we act on the basis that the treaty is in force. If required, we will be able to use it.
Lodged in a jail in Bali currently, Chota Rajan has sought consular access which was granted to him on Sunday. He has alleged a threat to his life from Dawood. When asked about Dawood's whereabouts, Rajan was quick to say he was in Pakistan. However, there is no formal extradition treaty between India and Indonesia, and this could pose a problem for Indian authorities. With inputs from Weber Verma in Jakarta, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Without a quick break here, but still ahead, contesting without BJP as ally, Shiv Sena wins key civic polls in Maharashtra, triggers talks of split between the allies.
Tales that inspire, stories of social change. A salute to diversity, promoting public discourse. Events that motivate, inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries every Friday at 10:30 p.m, Saturday 12:30 p.m and Sunday at 1 p.m.
Welcome back to the news tonight. Now, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has expressed confidence that within a couple of years, significant curbs on black money would be in place. Jaitley also asserted that the automatic exchange of information on a fully reciprocal basis will help prevent tax evasion globally. He said this while inaugurating an international conference on regional cooperation to deal with illicit financial flows, insisting that offshore tax evasion and flow of illicit money can be tackled only by a free flow of information exchange. The finance minister said that India has been a beneficiary of this and the black money syndicate would be broken soon. Jaitley has also hailed the G20 initiative of a new global transparency standard under which more than 90 jurisdictions have begun automatic exchange of tax information.
Evasion of taxes and therefore parking assets internationally somewhere, for which the G20 has taken an initiative. Various international agencies have now stepped in, and therefore the world is increasingly moving there also towards a situation where you can't shift the profits that you earn out of one jurisdiction and erode the capital base of that jurisdiction itself. And I'm quite certain that the activity going on in that direction in the next 1 or 2 years is also going to bring significant results, because with almost real-time exchange of information, its life is going to become extremely difficult as far as the lawbreakers in that regard is concerned.
And Jaitley's assurances come at a time when India's image among the global business community is improving leaps and bounds, so much so that it's among an elite group of 10 world economies. That's another feather in the cap for the government, coming after news that it has climbed 12 notches in the World Bank rankings of ease of doing business.
Brand India's value has gone up a massive 32% this year. According to London-based Brand Finance, it's $2.14 trillion, up from $1.62 trillion last year. That's the highest rate of increase among the top 10 countries.
If India's brand equity or brand valuation goes up, and some of the investors who are sitting with money and are looking for opportunities, suddenly India, which may not be on their radar earlier, but just because its valuation has made a big news in the international arena or a global arena, would attract their attention, and they may start considering India as one of the destinations for investment.
United States topped the brand value list at close to $20 trillion. China came next with $6.3 trillion. But having seen an erosion of $1 trillion due to the economic slowdown, Germany also retained its third slot at $4.2 trillion, but lost 4% brand value due to the Volkswagen scandal. United Kingdom, Japan and France came next. Experts, however, sound a note of caution, given that another rating agency, Moody's, recently refused to upgrade India's outlook.
Some of the reforms which are long been pending, like the GST per se, I think it is one of the most important bill which world is eyeing over to India, and such kind of bills, I think, because of which Moody is still waiting and has a positive view.
Brand Finance is an attempt to calculate the strength and the value of 100 countries. The method adopted is similar to how large companies are assessed. The Brand Strength Index is made of goods, services, investment and social climate. Also included are government measures to improve the country's brand image. India, China and South Korea are the only 3 Asian countries that figure in the top 20 list. Krishnanand Tripaঠি's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
With that, let's give you some updates from across the country and nationwide. The Kalyan-Dombivli Municipal Corporation elections threw up a hung house today. The Shiv Sena emerged as the single largest party by winning 52 of the 122 seats in the polls. The BJP stood second with 42 seats, while the Maharashtra Navnirman Sena secured 9 seats. The Sena is 10 seats short of a majority and may seek the support of other parties. The first phase of polling in the local body elections in Kerala was held today. Voting was held in 7 out of the 14 districts. Over 45% of polling was recorded in the first half of the polls. Voting in the remaining 7 districts will be held in the second phase on Thursday. After military veterans, it's India's retired paramilitary personnel who are seeking one rank, one pension benefits and other privileges under the ex-serviceman category. Retired paramilitary personnel started a 3-day dharna in Delhi today to draw the government's attention to their demands as well. As Bangladesh gets ready to explore oil and natural gas in its waters, the country today sought greater cooperation with the Indian Navy to tackle threats in the sea. Bangladesh Navy Chief Vice Admiral Mohammad Farid Habib, who is on a 4-day official visit to India, will be reviewing the existing cooperation between the navies and explore future avenues. International news now, and the bodies of 144 of those killed in the Egypt air crash have been flown back to Russian city of St. Petersburg as investigation continues. Russian investigators, in fact, say that the airliner seems to have disintegrated at the high altitude of 31,000 feet, but the airline claims external factors caused the crash. The flight's black boxes have been sent for an analysis.
The bodies of 144 of those killed in Egypt air crash have been flown back to Russian city of St. Petersburg. A second flight is expected in the evening as hundreds continue to pay tribute to the victims. The bodies will now be transported to the city's crematorium for identification. The investigation so far has revealed that the airliner could have disintegrated at the high altitude of 31,000 feet. However, Egypt's civil aviation minister said there had been no sign of any problems during the pre-flight inspection. The flight's black boxes have been sent for analysis, but it could take up to days before any concrete information is found. Russian President Vladimir Putin has called on investigators to build an objective picture of the events.
Без всяких сомнений должно быть сделано все, чтобы была создана объективная картина произошедшего, чтобы мы знали, что произошло, и соответствующим образом на это реагировали.
Место происшествия представляет из себя очень большую площадь, более 20 квадратных километров. В целом зона разброса элементов конструкции самолета представляет из себя вытянутый эллипс длиной около 8 километров и шириной около 4 километров. Все признаки свидетельствуют о том, что происходило разрушение конструкции самолета в воздухе на большой высоте.
Russian emergency ministers held a late-night meeting on Sunday. They've ordered operator of the Airbus A321 not to fly its jets of the same model until the cause of the crash is ascertained. The airline has ruled out technical fault and blamed external influence for the crash.
Нет таких отказов, отказа двигателя, отказа систем. Нет такого сочетания отказов систем, которые могли бы привести к тому, чтобы самолет разрушился в воздухе. Да, при трагическом стечении обстоятельств, при отказе многоуровневым.
Experts have in fact dismissed claims by jihadists in Sinai, claiming they brought down the flight. They said the plane could not be downed at 31,000 feet. IS has not produced pictures or video footage to substantiate their claim. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's take you through some more international news and global buzz. Turkey's ruling Justice and Development Party won a parliamentary majority, paving the way for it to form the next government. The AKP gained more than 49% of the votes and received 316 seats in the 550-member parliament based on the preliminary results, with about 98% of ballots counted so far. The US and South Korean defense chiefs have urged North Korea to immediately cease all activities related to its nuclear program and said they will have no tolerance for any military provocation by Pyongyang. US Defense Secretary Ash Carter and South Korean Defense Minister Han Ki-koo made these expressed, in fact, grave concern over the North's intent to conduct a long-range missile launch and a nuclear test. Australia's pro-Republic Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull has scrapped knights and dames from the nation's honour system. This comes less than a year after furor sparked by a knighthood to Prince Philip, Queen Elizabeth's husband. The decision is being seen as Turnbull's willingness to revisit the thorny question of Australia's relationship with the monarchy. In some good news for climate activists, a recent study by NASA suggests that Antarctica is not shrinking after all. In fact, it's getting larger. Recent data shows that the continent may be actually gaining ice mass, and instead of driving sea level rise, may actually be slowing it down. And now let's change tracks, get you all the latest from the world of sports in SportsBeat. The Indo-Swiss tennis pair of Sania Mirza and Martina Hingis clinched their 9th trophy after winning the WTA finals in Singapore. The top seeds defeated 8th-seeded Spanish team of Garbine Muguruza and Carla Suarez Navarro 6-0, 6-3. It was Sania's second WTA finals title in a row. She won last year with Cara Black. Roger Federer defeated Rafael Nadal in the Swiss indoors final to win his 7th title at Basel. The top seed beat his all-time rival 6-3, 5-7, 6-3. It was Federer's first win over Nadal since 2012. Nico Rosberg beat Mercedes teammate Lewis Hamilton to win the Mexican Grand Prix. It was Rosberg's fourth win of the season that moved him back into second place ahead of Ferrari's Sebastian Vettel, who crashed out. Williams' Valtteri Bottas finished third. And that's all we have for you on the news tonight. Thanks for joining us.